Well, all right, everybody. My name is Lauren De Silva, and today we are going to talk about how to manage to-do list overwhelm. So, I don't know if you can relate to this, but every once in a while, life hands us a to-do list this long and a day with only 24 hours, as well as a gazillion other commitments that we need to honor. And so I recently sat down with an amazing friend of mine, and she handed over a massive to-do list, and she said, how the heck am I going to do all of this? And so I walked her through a strategy that I'm going to walk you through now, which helped us narrow it down nearly by like 2/3 and give you like a clear and very simple, like path forward to kind of map out a great way forward. And so this principle or these principles can apply to a to-do list that you have for a day or a to-do list that you have for a week or any kind of time frame. What matters is that you use the principles for whatever time frame that you have in front of you. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is, with your to-do list handy, you need a calendar or some kind of day planner handy. This could be digital or it could be on paper. I prefer paper, but whatever works for you is fine. And what you're going to do first is you're going to fill in or block out what I call boulders or boulder time. And like the name suggests, boulders are immovable and fairly permanent. So you're going to look at your day or your week and you're going to go, what things are happening that I cannot or will not move? And there is a slight distinction, So there are things like work that we cannot move. There are things like commitments that we've made to other people that we will not move. So that's a choice that we're making. And so you need to look at what you've got in front of you and you need to block out time that is non-negotiable or already spoken for. And then what you can do is you can just cross-reference that with your to-do list, because you might find that some items on your to-do list will be handled just by nature of how you're going to be spending your time. So this happens a lot with our work to-do lists, as they get muddled up with our other to-do lists. So is there anything, if you've blocked out 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for work, is there anything on your giant to-do list that needs to happen or that is happening within working hours or as part of your work responsibility? You need to cross that stuff out and put it on the right to-do list so that it is not overwhelming. The second task that you need to do is you need to create priorities, all right? And so when you look at the problem with a to-do list is that very infrequently do people actually turn them into priority lists. And a priority list helps you simplify and get extremely clear on what is most important to you. And so one of the questions that I always ask myself when I'm turning a to-do list into a priority list is, what, if I accomplish this, would leave me going to bed at night feeling most satisfied and proud of how I spent my time? Another question that you can ask yourself around this topic is, what if I got this done today would make not doing all that other stuff irrelevant? So like it is so important that you get some of the stuff done that if you did it trade off and didn't have to do some of the other things, that you wouldn't even care because you got the most important things done. Another question that you can ask is, what will move the needle on my most important priorities the most? And so in that regard, when you're looking at your to-do list, things like grocery shopping is something that needs to get done, right? But it's not going to fill you with pride and peace as you lay your head down on the pillow. It's not going to move the needle on a massive life goal or a goal that could transform how your week goes or how your month goes. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to transform your to-do list into a priority list. And what you could also do, and what happens a lot, is that a lot of the things that are on our to-do list could actually be subcategorized under one or two massive priorities. And so you might want to look at having your two, not more than three, absolutely not more than three big rock priorities. So they're not as heavy as a boulder, not as immovable as a boulder, but still pretty big. You want to have two, not more than three big rock priorities from your to-do list, and you may be able to subcategorize some of your to-do list items within or underneath each big rock. And so you've been able to prioritize it. And then what you need to do is, now you've got your priorities, you're very clear on your priorities, and because you've mapped out what your boulders are, immovable boulders, you can look at your day plan or your week plan, and you can see all the time blocks that have not been spoken for. And you need to claim those time blocks before anyone else does. You need to grab a hold of them and you need to block them out as spoken for your big rock priorities. And so any time, and you may need to be creative about this. So like my most valuable time blocks are between 5:30 and 7:30 in the morning, from Monday to Friday, because I'm alone and the house is quiet. Another most extremely valuable time block for me is between 11:30 and 1:30 when my little is having a nap. And in the past, some of my most valuable time blocks have been in a lunch hour, where I've been able to move the needle on a fitness goal and do half marathon training during a lunch hour. And so you may need to be very creative, and maybe your most valuable time block is during a time that you've been using to watch mindless television. But it could be used to just move the needle on your overwhelm and just eliminate it completely. And so you're going to take your giant rocks, your priority rocks, and you're going to pick out time blocks for them around your immovable boulder time blocks. And the last thing is to just get it done. Put your head down, and you're not moving through a to-do list anymore. Now you're moving through a list of very important priorities. And oftentimes what I find is that I can get my most important work or my most important priorities done first. I end up with time to spare to handle my less important to-do list items, or I realize the trade-off, for example, of going grocery shopping myself, which can take an hour of my time, versus using that hour to do something that is way more valuable and important and will transform my life more. And so for me, that looks like I may have to delegate the responsibility of grocery shopping to someone at HEB or, Instacart, who can help me with that. And being in control of which loaf of bread ends up in my shopping cart may seem like a big deal to me in the moment, but actually making sure that I spend time with my family in a more constructive way, or making sure that I push the needle on a project that, if completed, is going to change my life, is actually a way more important use of my time. And so those are the three main steps when it comes to managing your to-do list overwhelm. You need to understand what your boulders are and acknowledge them and block out time for them. You need to pick big rock priorities, and you need to claim time in which to accomplish them. If you do not do it, someone else will claim your time and use it in a way that does not honor you and your priorities. And then the third step is to just get it done to be okay with is not with what is left undone, and to maybe get a little bit creative in your delegation of lesser priorities. At the end of the day, spending our time, or how we spend our time, is a stewardship issue. It is our most valuable commodity. Once you spent it, we don't get it back. Once we give it to someone else, we don't get it back. And we can transform our lives by how we transform our time. We can transform our emotional worlds by how we lay hold of and control and set boundaries around how we spend our time. I hope this helps. If you want to hang out with women who are avoiding bitterness and burnout and brokenness by building bridges and boundaries, join our Facebook group. It's amazing. We'd love to have you. I hope you've had a fantastic time with us. I hope you've learned something. And if you've got amazing time management pro tips, put them in the comments. Thanks. Bye.